Hi friends, how are you? I think you are all fine. Okay, let us start our class today. Today also we are going to take two topics of teaching aptitude. The first one is teaching strategies. It contains three subtopics, that is authoritarian, democratic and laissez-faire. Three type of strategies are there for teaching. And second subtopic is phases of teaching. Okay, phases of teaching. There's three phases. One is preactive, second is interactive, and third is postactive. So let us move and find how these these two topics, how they are, how we have to study them. Okay, strategies. Okay, teaching strategies. So teaching strategies, there are three is there. Okay, strategies. Three strategies are there for teaching. That is, we can see them in detail. Before that, let us find who are the persons who propagated these strategies, or who are the person who produced, or who are the person who put forwarded these strategies. Let us see who are the persons. First one is authoritarian. Authoritarian strategy. It is put forward by M.C. Morrison. Okay, it is put forward by H.C. Morrison. We heard this name when we study in it is the levels of teaching we heard this name Morrison. Okay, it is understanding level is put forward by Morrison. Okay, here we are studying that the authoritarian strategies. Okay, the authoritarian strategy is put forward by Morrison. Okay, so here the memory level is more using in the authoritarian level. That is why I have given the memory in a bracket. Okay, it is clear that that is in authoritarian we are using the memory level. It is like our memory level. Okay, just taking and give and take method, the rote memory type. Next is democratic. That is it put forward by N.L. Gage. Okay, it is put forward by N.L. Gage. It is the understanding how we have studied the understanding level. As the same way the democratic strategy is following the understanding level type teaching. Understand? And third is the laissez-faire. It is put forward by Brubacher. Okay, Brubacher put forward it, and it is talking about the reflective level. Okay, it is talking about the reflective level, or we can see that the strategy is mainly focused on the reflective level. So their focus is clearly mentioned here. Authoritarian level, it is focused on memory, and democratic, it is focused on understanding, and laissez-faire, it is focused on the reflective level. Okay. Then we can study the detailed authoritarian strategy. That is authoritarian strategy. Authority means authority. The superpower is on the teacher. It is teacher centered. Okay, in memory level also we studied that the teacher is the center. As the same way in authoritarian also the teacher is the center. She decides what to teach and what not, and she is the authoritarian of that teaching. Okay, so it is teacher centered. No criticism from students. That is, students cannot ask any question to the teacher. They just have to sit in the class, listen to the class, and just obey the teacher. Okay, no way to criticize the teacher. And based on memory level, it is just like memory level. The teacher gave the topics to the students. She teaches the topics to the students. They just sit there and take them to their memory and to reproduce it. Okay, no thought involvement. There is no thought involvement because the students are getting no freedom here. They are not able to think about the matter. They just listen to it and giving answers to it. Okay, what the teacher is giving to them, they are returning it back as the same way. Rote learning is happening there. Rote learning means, rote learning means as you give such a way, they're giving it back. That is rote learning. Clear? That is repeating and repeating and repeating the same points, and it is keeping into the memory and giving it back as the same way. There is no thought process here. So the rhetoric is focused on the it is mainly focused on the memory level. So that is teacher centric. There is no criticism from the student side. It is based on the memory level. No thought involvement is there. It is rote learning is only happening there. So we can see what type of teaching is usually used in authoritarian. We can see lecture method. In lecture method, what happens is teacher stands there and give a lot of lecturing. The student just listen to it. There is no way to ask questions to the teacher. Okay, just sit there. Demonstrative is also like that. She take the class to the students in a special way. Tutorial is also same way. That is, the teacher is the center and she is giving the lectures, notes, and all those things, and the students just listen them and just take them and just to give the same thing in the exams. Okay, there is no way of two-way process is not there. Only one-way process is happening in the authoritarian method. So authoritarian is clearly said that the teacher is the center. So methods using is lecture method, demonstrative method, and tutorial method will come under the authoritarian strategy. Clear? So just move to the other thing. That is democrative. Next one is the democrative. So in the democrative, the word itself means that both the person is getting freedom. Okay, the teacher and the student it orientated. That is in the it is focused on the understanding level. In understanding level, we know that the teacher and the student, that is give and take is taking between the teacher and the student. The students can has the right to ask questions to the teacher. So it's a two-way process, not one way. It is a two-way process, as like our democracy. We can question them. Okay, as the same way, the teacher student has the freedom to ask the question among them. As the same way, we have to know that another point is that the memory plus understanding level is happening there. That is memory plus the rote learning is happening plus the understanding level. Understanding level means you know that the thoughtful process is happening here. Then only the student is, that is teacher is taking something to the students or lecturing to the students. They just listen to it. Then they think about it and they can ask the questions. Understand it? So democratic strategy is that both are getting the space there. Then criticism can be there. It is thoughtful. I told you earlier itself, understanding, it means that it is thoughtful level. So thoughts is happening there. Then principles are applied. Whatever they studied in their life, they try to apply it in the democratic strategy. Understand? Applied means I told you earlier when I take the levels of teaching, I told you that is when they studied in the smaller classes some principles, they try to apply it in the understanding level. So it is in the secondary level. Understand? So in the democratic, different methods are used in the democratic strategy. So in that, the principles are applied by the students. That is, they are studying it, the principles, and they are using it. Application level is happening there. There is examples for that is discussion. Discussion method in which the teacher give a topic and they discuss about it and different opinions come out of it and they discuss in the class and they will come to a conclusion. Okay, discovery method. This is also another method in which the teacher is giving the students some problems or something. They apply the principles and they are finding it. Heuristic method is also, it's a kind of discovery method. Okay, then project is also like that. They are giving a problem, they try to solve it. Okay, they are trying to solve it by using their own principles which they have studied. So democratic is somewhat, it is very liberal for the teacher and the students. Both are getting an interaction between them. Then in memory understanding level, both is using that. There is also very plus point here. And criticism can be happen to the teacher. The students has the right to ask the questions. Principles are applying here. So the democratic strategy is the second one. First one is the authoritarian. Second is the democratic strategy. Okay, democratic strategy. And third one is the laissez-faire strategy. What is laissez-faire strategy? The students, what they do, they are oriented. They are ready to do the classes. Understand that the students are oriented means their self-learning is happening here. The laissez-faire, the students are learning it by themselves. The problems are before them. They have to solve it by themselves. Just a teacher guide them. That's all. Teacher has no role here. The laissez-faire. Reflective level. Reflective level means they are in the highest level. I told you the last class, there is a teaching level. The highest level is the reflective level in which they are using their all levels. That is memory level, understanding level, and reflective level. Three are coming in the laissez-faire. Okay, insightful. They are able to solve the real life problems. Example is research. When a student is doing a research, the teacher is just give guidance to him, not the work done by the teacher. Okay, just guide them and they are going to the right way and reaches their thesis, research, and whatever thing they are doing. So, understand? So the teacher has no main role here. Only student has the main role. So three strategies is there. First one I told you, that is the first strategy is the authoritarian strategy. Second is the democratic strategy. Third is the laissez-faire strategy. Authoritarian, I told you that it is based on the memory level, and second one, that is the authoritarian. Next to that come the democratic level. It is based on the understanding, and laissez-faire, it is depend upon the reflective level. Now I think you are clear about it. Okay. So first you have to study the teaching levels, and then it is easy for you to study the strategies very easily. Okay. Next is the phases of teaching. Okay, phases of teaching, and that is the next subtopic we have to study. The phases of teaching. The phases of teaching, it has three main parts. Okay, three parts is there when you teach. When you go to a class and you teach, or when you are sitting and taking class to students, then you have to have three phases in teaching. One is the pre-active stage. Pre-active stage means before teaching, the teacher has to do some steps. And next is the interactive. Interactive is the way the teaching happens. Okay. Post-active is after teaching what the teacher has to do. So always there is 3 points is the understood that there are 3 points is the teacher has to face all these things. All these three activities has to be done by the teacher. So then only the teaching become very proper, and the teacher students are able to understand it in a proper way. So the phases of teaching, three is the pre-active, interactive, and post-active. Let us study one by one. First one is the pre-active phase. Pre-active phase, it has some aspects. What are the aspects? Is the first is the selection. The teacher has to preparing for the classroom, for the teaching. The pre-active stage, the teacher is preparing to take class for the students. So what first thing is to do? Selection. Teacher has to select what topic she has to teach for the students. And organization, how she has to organize it, whether it has to take in a direct way, or it should be in an indirect way, or have to connect it to the previous topic. Like that, she has to organize it in a correct way. The justification of principles, she has to, some principles might be included in it. So she has to keep that in mind. That is, the teacher has some principles, we have to give something to the students. So justification of principles is the selection of teaching method. It is also important. According to the students, teacher has to decide what type of teaching method should be taken. Sometimes they will take lecture method, sometimes they will take a discussion method. Understand? It is according to the what? It is according to the students who are sitting before them. Okay, according to the students, and their age has to be considered, and what subject is taking, that is also important. According to that only the teacher has to find the teaching method. Then preparation of evaluation tools. She also understand, after teaching the class, she had to evaluate what all the things has to be done to evaluate the class. So that also she has to keep in mind. So the first phase is the pre-active phase. In this, 5 steps are the selection is the organization is the justification of principles. For taking each topic, there is some principles behind it that has to be justified. Okay, that should be reached to the students. Then selection of the teaching method, then evaluation tools, that is preparation of the evaluation tools. Then pre-active stage, there should have some activities that the teacher has to do. Understand? In the pre-active phase, teacher has to do some activities. What are they? Determining the goals. Teacher should have some goals. This all the goals has to be reached by the students. So she has to determine the goals first. Then selection of the content, that I have already told you what all the things has to be selected. Then sequence of the element. It should be from the lighter one to the tough one. Okay, from the simple to the tough, as only be taken by the teacher. Otherwise, the students are not able to understand. Then methodology. What type of teaching has to be followed. Then deciding the strategy. That is, I told you, that is authoritarian is needed, or democratic is needed, or laissez-faire is needed. It is according to the students who are sitting before you. So pre-active activity is that the determining the goals, selection of the content, sequence of the elements, methodology, and deciding the strategies. Understand? I think now you understood the pre-active phase, what are the things the teacher has to do before taking a class. Next is interactive phase. That is very clear. Interactive phase is the phase in which what all she has prepared, that is giving to the students. Okay, that interaction is happening between the teacher and the student. It can be one-way process, or it can be two-way process. Okay, it can be two-way process. What are the aspects is needed for interactive phase? It's execution of plans. Whatever plans she has planned in the pre-active stage, that has to be done. It has to be done in in action in the interactive phase. All activities for the of teacher, all the activities of the teacher will come under the interactive phase. Okay, that should keep in mind. Whatever things the teacher do planned, that has to be done in the interactive phase. Then verbal stimulation. Teacher has to say some good things to the students to make them to stimulation means they has to be very attentive to the class. For that we have to motivate them. Verbal words should be motivated, and the teacher should has the knowledge to properly execute the subject to the students, okay, according to their age and their capacity. And she has also capacities to she has also have the capacity to motivate them to interestly collaborate in the class. Understand? Execution of the plans, all activities of the teacher, and verbal stimulation, all these three aspects should be in the interactive phase. Interactive phase activities. What are the activities has to be done by the teacher in the interactive phase? Okay, pre-active phase activities we have seen. Interactive phase, what are the things the teacher has to keep in mind? First one is setting up of the class. The size of the class, troublemakers, personality, assistants. That is, teacher has to find whether this class is large or small. What is the situation of the class? Whether the students, large number of students are sitting inside a class, they are not able to, the teacher is not able to control them properly. So teacher can split them. Okay, like that, the size of the class has to be considered. According to that only she can prepare the topic. Okay, then troublemakers. You want to find when the teacher is taking the class, some students make some problem inside the class because they want to get the attention. They are the troublemakers. So she want to understand the problem of the troublemakers, and first she want to make them in a cool position. Then only she is able to take the class in a proper way. Then personality of each student she should know well. Then only she is able to give them in a proper way. Then assistance, if she needs some assistance or something, that she has to keep in mind in the interactive phase. Understand? Knowing the learner, that is very important for the teacher. She should know what kind of person is sitting before her. That is interest of the students, what type of interest they have, their abilities, what are the capacities they have, attitude, what attitude they are sitting, whether they are sitting there and not like to listen to the class, then it is very difficult for a teacher to take the class. Then academic background, from which type of background the students are coming. Sometimes they may coming from the background in which their parents have no education, say that it is difficult for students to cope up with the situations of the learning. So teacher should have a correct knowledge about what their situation is, the teacher students are coming from. Knowing the learner is very important. Then all the teacher can give the proper way of teaching to the students. These all things is happening in the interactive phase. Then start teaching. After making comfortable to the class for each students, then she started the teaching. That is, verbal interaction is needed. Initiation. Initiation means sometimes the students started to talk about anything. She has to initiate them. Let's do this. That motivate them. The responses. She has to take the responses of the students. She has to respond them back in a good way. Then only the class should be in a very interactive way. So interaction phase has three steps is needed. First, she has to make the class in a proper way. Then to know the learners very well. Okay, then start teaching. These three things is needed in the interactive phase activities. It can come under the activities of a teacher in the interactive phase. Next is post phase. Post active phase means post, after. Okay, post means after. That is, post-active phase is that is what the teacher has to do after teaching a class. After teaching a class, usually we see that the teacher will ask some small questions. Why? She want to know whether the students is able to understand her or follow her in a proper way. Sometimes they will give some papers or something and ask them to write what you have understood. Just write it and show me, or just read it down. Okay. So why she is doing that? She want to know whether they are able to follow her in a proper way. Understood. So in a post-active phase is also very important. Then only she is able to understand whether what she has given is taken by the students. That is aspects. First aspect is that analyzing the evaluation result. Analyzing the evaluation result is that what I told you. She can ask some questions or something and understand whether there is a quick way to get the response. Okay. Till the exam, if she waits, she don't know whether the students is able to understand or not. So the feedback should be at the proper time. Then activities, some activities can be given. Okay, if she has taken some grammar or something, she can give some more questions and ask them to answer them. So some activities is given, they are able to answer them properly, then we can understand them. She has understood, the student is able to understand what she has taken. Then evaluation activities. Evaluation activities means that she has to done it through her mind. Evaluation activities. Then summing up the teaching class. Summing up the teaching class means after taking the whole class, she just has to sum it up. That is good for the students to keep them in the memory. When see, you might have seen that I am always giving a sum up at the end. Why? Because if I give a sum up at the end, it is good for your memory to keep them in a proper way. Okay, then it is easy for you to quickly bring back the answers when the questions you see in the question paper. If you revise it once, it is very good for the memory level. So whenever teacher take a class, after that class is over, okay, when the class is over, she has to end up with the summing up. Summing up, it is very good. Then it is very good for the students to keep that in the memory. Okay, that is the post-active phase. So I think you have understood. I think you have understood all the subtopics. That is three phases of the teaching. There is three phases which are, there is the pre-active phase, interactive phase, and post-active phase. Before that, we have studied the strategies of teaching. Okay, strategies of teaching we have studied. That is the auditory. It is based or focused on the memory level. Here, the teacher is giving. The teacher is the center. Okay. That lecture method all come in the authoritarian strategy. Second is the democratic. It is there is memory plus understanding is happening. It is a teacher and student. It is a two-way process. It's a good process. Understand? Here the discussion method all come under this. Then third one is the LASSIZ FAIRE, it is reflective level. PhD doing, thesis doing, all these things will come under this reflective level. The student is the center. Understand? It is focused on the reflective level. So that are the three strategies of teaching. Next, we studied the subtopic is the phases of teaching. Phases of teaching. First one is the pre-active phase. That is, the teacher is preparing everything to take in the class. Interactive phase. That is the direct way how the teacher is interacting to the students. And third one is the post-active phase, in which the teacher gave all the she's taking the feedback of the students and evaluating how her class is. Understand? All these things are discussing here in a proper way. So I think you have understood these two topics well. So just to subscribe this channel, keep in touch with me. Then only you are able to get the videos uploading by me. So study these topics very well. They will ask questions from the usually they will ask the direct questions from this side. So you just study the top points very well. Then only you are able to answer them in a proper way. So goodbye to you. I'm saying goodbye to you. We can see the next video. Keep in touch with me through the videos. Okay. Bye.